they say that it takes 21 days to break a habit. But what are we talking about 21 days for if we're on day 1 or perhaps even day 0? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sir Evans, and today I want to talk about how to start changing bad habits. So before we go too far into today's episode, just make sure that you hit the subscribe button if you like what you hear. Never want you to subscribe if you're not in tune with it. That way we can keep the service going. So my first thing that I want to ask you guys is, when is the last time that you have heard a tree ask for permission to grow? How about a dog to be a dog, or a cat to be a cat, or let's just be more practical. When's the last time you've seen a child ask for permission to grow, or permission to be a toddler, or a toddler to be a teen, or a teen to be an adult? It just doesn't happen. And there's a reason why it doesn't happen. We have to realize that we may need help to grow, but we don't need permission. Your growth is not optional. Your growth is happening every single day, and it is just as constant as change. We are growing older, we are growing wiser, or the latter, but one way or another, you're growing every single day. That's not something that you have to ask for permission to do so. Now, along the way, as we grow, of course, we're going to need some help. Of course, we're going to need some assistance. But the first thing that we have to keep in mind when we're striving to change a bad habit is we don't have to ask for permission to do so. You are perhaps the only creation that has the free will to not only decide how you grow, but you also have the free will to decide what it is that you grow into. Don't spend your entire life waiting for permission to make a decision that you are already given the power to do so. The second thing that we have to be aware of is that we're guilty. You did it. You're guilty of the bad habit. Just admit it. It's okay. It's just okay. Let me give you an example of what it looks like inside all the time when we don't accept. We're guilty. Objection, Your Honor! My client is innocent. I mean, they might slip up here and there, but that was with just due reasoning. We must forgive them. I mean, let's not even forgive. Let's just forget it never happened. Nobody ever wants to talk about the good things that my client is doing. Everybody always wants to bring him up for the things that he's guilty for. He's not guilty. Objection. What if this was your mental and spiritual defense attorney on a regular day's basis? Every single thing that you did, there was an objection for it. Every single thing that you did, you weren't guilty for it. Every single thing that you did, you decided you didn't want to face any consequences for it. I believe that there is an entity inside of us that wants to see us object whether we are right or wrong, which ultimately leads to us being very self-righteous about ourselves. However, I also believe that there's an entity inside of us as well that wants to see us free from constantly having to object from everything in our lives. It's that surrender and it's that admission of guilt that allows us to break free and begin to change those bad habits. Don't let your defense attorney hold you back from making a change in your life that you know that you should be making. One of the best ways to overcome a defense attorney inside is to admit you are not perfect. Hey, I hate to break the cat out the bag, but none of us are. So there's no need in working so hard to be so, or working so hard to ignore the fact that you're not. Humility and surrender are some of the greatest ingredients that we'll need in order to change those bad habits. Take it one day at a time. Take it one day at a time. So keep these 2 tips in mind before you get out of here. You don't need permission to change, and admit that you are flawed. Those are just some of the groundworks before we even begin to get into steps on how to change or best ways for you to change a habit. It starts with a mindset. Before we can get to day 21, 14, 19 of the 21 days that it takes to break a bad habit, if your mind state isn't there, you won't even start day one. One day at a time, ladies and gentlemen. Salute.